Welcome back everybody to BenguFarm training videos. In this video we're going to look at the herd layout and specific to an item we called My Columns. Now, as we said previously, the herd layout contains a multitude of columns, but there can be scenarios that you want to display additional data that's not available by default, and that is where My Columns comes in. So to set up My Columns, you'll go to Display Options here at the bottom left. And the Display My Columns is located top left-hand side of screen. And you click on this button and this will open the screen where you can set up My Columns. Now with My Columns, you can set up multiple layouts, and each layout can contain different additional columns that you want to display, but you can only select one layout at a time to display. So to add a layout, I will click here on Add Layout, and I'll give my layout a name. Let's call this Training Example. And now we need to define what additional data do we want to display on the herd layout. So for each data item that you want to display, you will add a column here at the bottom left hand side. There's a couple of parameters that you need to specify for each column, and we'll start with a data type. So you'll say if you want to display a trait, a vaccination, a health test, a procedure, and a weight. For this example, I'm going to say I want to display a trait, and then at item I must select what trait do I want to display additionally to the herd layout. And let's take an example of scrotum circumference. The next parameter is display. So after scrotum circumference, what do you want to display? Here you can select the date the scrotum circumference were taken, or you can select the value, the actual scrotum circumference, or a remark. So let's say in this example, we just want to take and display the value. The next parameter is the filter, and the filter determines which scrotum circumference will be displayed on the herd layout. It will default to last. In other words, it will display the last scrotum circumference that's available on record in BenguFarm. There's a multitude of options available here. For example, you can select the first one for example, you can select the first record that's available, or one, for example, on a specific date. And then we'll come to the additional parameters here. Depending on the filter that we select, we may need to supply additional data. So if I say I want a scrotum circumference on a specific date, I must specify that date. So you, for example, know that you took the scrotum circumference on the 1st of March 2025. If you take the last one, the scrotum circumference, independent of which date it was taken, will be displayed. You can also say before a certain date. So all the scrotum circumferences before the 1st of February, for example. Or you can also select one of the age-related filters. The last available scrotum circumference before the animal were a certain age. So, say for example, before the animal was 540 days old. With some of the filters, there's between dates and between ages. For example, the first available scrotum circumference between ages, when you'll select a from and a to age. So say for example from 540 days to 999 days, and so forth and so forth. For our examples, we're going to keep it simple and just work with last. Add another trait that you want to display on the main screen. You say add column, it's a trait, and I, for example, also want to display the last shoulder height that's available. I'm going to add another one, and just for explanation, you say vaccinations, the item. You can select any vaccine or you can select a specific vaccine. So let's take hot water, for example. And here with your display is the different options. You can select the date, the item, or the dosage. I'm going to say the date. And I'm going to add another one. And I'm also going to select hot water. And I'm going to say the dosage. So there's 4 additional data points that I'm now going to be able to see on my herd layout. When you're done, you click on save. And I'm going to exit. Now, to display those additional columns on the herd layout, you'll make a tick mark here next to display my columns. And you'll select the specific layout that you want to display. We only got to one, so we only can select training example. If you scroll a bit to our right, you'll see there's additional section here called My Columns. And there's 4 columns. You can always move with your mouse over the headings to see the description of a column. So this one is the scrotum circumference value, the last one. This one is hot water, the date, the last one, and this is hot water, the last one, the dosage. So if I scroll up and down now, I can see these animals at the dosage of 5 and were vaccinated on the 27th of February. Here's some animals with a scrotum circumference, and at the bottom you will also see your averages. Here's some animals with a scrotum circumference and the shoulder height. So if you want to add additional layouts, you'll just go to your layouts again. You add the layout and you add the columns that you want in this layout and save it. You can also delete layouts. So to delete the layout, you go to your layouts, you select the one you want to delete, and you will say delete layout. Another thing what you can do is you can change the order in which the columns are displayed on your main screen. So you'll click on the column and you'll use your arrow buttons here to move the column up and down. So say for example, I want the vaccination related data in the first columns and that traits in the last columns. I can just change it and save it. And then if I go back to my main screen, it will now update, and there's my hot water now at the beginning, and my scrotum circumference and shoulder height is in columns 3 and 4. So you will see that this is actually a very powerful function with which you can extend the functionality of your herd layout, as you can display many types of data. We want to show you another use of this display my columns, and that is the integration into my reports. So let's go to my reports, go to reports, my reports, and animal data. When my reports open, just for example, I'm going to select a couple of animals. So let's just select a group of animals. Say this range. Please watch our separate videos covering the my reports to see all the functionality. So if I go to my report columns, here at the bottom is an option that says display my columns. So I can say display my columns, and then From the drop-down, I can select which of my columns should be displayed. Only training example is available. So it will open a section for you, and there's my 4 columns that I specified: the hot water, the date, the last, and the dosage, the last, and scrotum circumference, the value, the last one, and shoulder height, the value, the last one. So I can also switch this on and off, and it will be switched on and off on my report. So with my columns, you can also extend my reports to show additional data that's not available by default on my reports. We hope that you find this video very helpful and that it will change you into a power user of BenguFarm. Thank you for watching and see you next time.